Welcome to the Challenges of Change, the podcast where we explore the transformative journey towards self-improvement and personal growth. I'm your host, Laura, a mindset coach in the health and fitness industry, here to guide you through the hurdles that life throws at you. In each episode, we'll delve into practical strategies and insightful discussions to help you manage stress, regulate your emotions, upgrade your mindset, and ultimately reclaim your sense of worth. I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey of change, challenges, and self-discovery. And we're back for another episode of the Challenges of Change. And today, I got a broad topic that we're going to get to the center of and make it a little bit easier to understand. And it's all sourced around motivation, but ultimately, how do we recognize what's motivating us? And I'm not talking about motivation from the aspect of like feeling motivated to work out or feeling motivated to eat well. Those will apply, but I'm speaking of like the unconscious hidden why that drives all of our actions. And it's not the same why for every single action either. So we're going to talk about this in a really big context, and we're going to get it smaller, and I'll give you examples as we go along. So you've likely heard me say before that there are 4 levels of motivation. From the lowest is shame, then fear, then purpose, then love. And when I say lowest to highest, I'm talking about like the energetic frequency or the mental friction you'll experience. So if you are being motivated by shame or fear, you will have to go against some mental friction to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve on the outside. If you're doing something from purpose or love, you won't feel as much mental friction. You actually might feel more pushed, like as in something's propelling you forward versus something you have to overcome to get to the destination. So what I really want to talk about is how that applies to your internal experience when you're feeling the need to protect yourself. Our need to protect ourselves is definitely not one to ignore, but it's one that we definitely should be inquisitive around. So, and I just want to clarify that I'm speaking about like psychological threats. So if you're getting abused or if you're getting attacked by lions and bears, like this is not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like when you're feeling triggered or someone was disrespectful or stepped over your boundaries. Like those are the things that I'm referencing. So psychological threats, just so we're clear. It's natural if you've been hurt by someone or hurt regularly in a certain scenario, whether that be with a boss, with a family member, with a friend, with a partner, whoever. Naturally, it's your urge to try and protect yourself because nobody really likes pain. And if you don't understand how to protect yourself, as in the right motivational energy to set healthy boundaries with, you can unconsciously and unintentionally disconnect from yourself because you're so focused on protecting yourself. So if we feel this urgent need to protect ourselves because someone's broken our trust, for instance, that causes us to be very outwardly focused, where we might be hypervigilant or hyperactive or just very sensitive in general to anything that could be perceived as a potential threat. That's when we're already in this self-protective mode. When we're in this mode, we are being motivated majority of the time by fear, not by purpose or love. And our goal for healthy, well-being, lived lives is to actually connect more with our energetic frequencies of purpose and love, because then we actually gain from our exchanges versus feeling like everything has a tax. So again, the urge to self-protect yourself isn't bad, but you need to understand how to do it. And I say that because if you don't understand it, you will fall into the exact same trap that I did. So when you're feeling the urge to protect yourself, you're being motivated by fear because you're looking out, you're not looking in. You're disconnecting from yourself, which is the source of well-being and health to begin with, to try and prevent things outside of you, which you cannot control. And this was exactly what I was doing. There was a scenario I was in where someone in my life had broken my trust many times, and I'm a very compassionate and forgiving person. I understand, people got their stuff. So I forgive and I move on. But then when the pattern keeps repeating itself, even if I consciously don't want to protect myself, I'll notice that my brain will still try to build up walls versus I think of them like bumpers. Like, when you used to go bowling and you were a kid or an adult and you put bumpers on because you couldn't roll the ball down the aisle. Unhealthy self-protection builds walls. Healthy self-protection builds bumpers. Yes, silly scenario or analogy, but we're rolling with it. So when this person was breaking my trust, they weren't necessarily doing it intentionally. It was unconscious. And this person, when, everything came to a head and all the emotions were exchanged, felt horrible, carried a lot of shame around it, which also then would recreate the problem. So it was a really messy scenario just to like put it on the surface. But what I realized is what I was doing in the scenario that was not necessarily continuing the disconnection, but it also wasn't fostering further connection, which was still the goal I had with this specific individual. So I was trying to protect myself by building walls. I was trying to say I wouldn't talk about X, Y, or Z, um, that we wouldn't exchange, and I would just kind of shut things down if it started to get to a specific point because I didn't trust that this person would manage themselves. And it kept us in a dynamic over a handful of months where we both were feeling very depleted, very exhausted, just wanting to kind of get back to normal. And although they were doing certain actions that were showing my brain, like, okay, they're trying to rehabilitate, they're taking accountability, they apologized, and they're taking actions to recover from that, which is an important aspect of apologizing. I could see how my brain was specifically trying to find stuff that reflected the opposite. I could see evidence because I was actively, like conscious Laura, was seeking evidence that this person was adapting, evolving, trying to be more considerate, trying to be someone that I could trust. And I noticed my brain looking for the subtle little things that proved the opposite. And then there's one morning where I was tired of feeling disconnected from myself. And I was journaling because obviously a way that people connect to themselves. And I'd been fluctuating back and forth with this sense of connection to my inner world. And this idea popped in my head of can you be connected to yourself if you're so preoccupied protecting yourself? And I did some research because, nerd alert. Turns out you can't. And I think that highlights a big challenge that so many of us experience because it's natural to want to protect yourself. No one really wants to have pain. But if we're protecting ourselves in a way that makes us hyper vigilant on the external, we're actually doing more damage to ourselves because we don't understand that protection is not controlling the outside because we can't control the outside, but learning to stay connected to ourselves to recognize the warning signals when something like that is starting to happen and to control the only thing we truly can control, which is ourselves. So, all right, I'll give you a different example, like relationships, husbands and wives, partners, whatever. People always argue, right? And there's always going to be disagreements of that nature. So when my husband and I have gotten in disagreements in the past, when I'm more attentive to what he's doing and trying to manage his external actions, I get hurt more, even though I'm trying to protect myself by managing him. But when I recognize my internal signals, the warning alarms my body sends off that are like, hey, something's not right in the water, or he's getting a little uneasy and you're starting to feel activated, or whatever it is, when I can recognize what's going on in my body, then I have the opportunity to regulate myself and thus the entire environment. So that's typically when I actually am protecting myself it feels so bizarre, but when you are focused on controlling outside as in a way to protect yourself, you're actually exposing yourself to way more pain because the only thing you truly can control is yourself. But if you're not connected to yourself, how the hell are you going to recognize when the pain's coming? Because you're so focused on what they're doing, you have no idea what's going on within you. And this was the problem that I was experiencing. I was being motivated by fear, fear that I'd get hurt again. Well, with the depth that this person is involved in my life, yeah, I'm going to get hurt again. We all are. If we want to love anyone, we're going to get hurt again. It's not about not getting hurt again, but that's what my fear was telling me. When I was believing that, I was creating further disconnection in that relationship and further disconnection in my relationship, which then impacted all my other relationships. Blah. Please tell me that I'm not the only one who experiences this. And I mean, I know I'm not because I talk to my clients and they also experience it, but I guess you're not alone, and neither am I. So if this is you, if you are hyper focused on protecting yourself from the outside in, so to speak, how do you shift to learning how to protect yourself from the inside out? Well, I'm going to give you a couple hints. So these this comes back to kind of the motivational energy, which is why I started there to begin with. If you're being motivated by fear, that means you are being outwardly focused with the intention of protecting yourself. You will notice that your decisions will feel rushed, tense, or like you're reacting instead of choosing. You focus on avoiding discomfort or rejection or failure rather than moving towards something meaningful. That's a big one. Your inner dialogue is typically filled with what ifs and worst case scenarios. You feel small, stuck, or disconnected from yourself after making any decision you might be making, and your choice is driven by external validation or the need to control an outcome. So if that is what you're experiencing when you're trying to better protect yourself, you are being motivated by fear. And the reason it's a double-edged sword is fear creates self-fulfilling beliefs. So when you're motivated by fear, you actually are bringing the thing that you don't want in and increasing the likelihood that you're going to experience it. It's very annoying, but it's energetically true. If you're being motivated by trust, which is more aligned with purpose and love, you'll feel grounded in your decisions, even if they're challenging. You're moving towards something that feels aligned with your values, desires, and well-being. And this one's massively important because a lot of times when we're trying to make decisions, we don't want to feel guilty. And we use that guilt as like, oh, something's wrong. But maybe that's not true. Maybe you're making a decision that aligns with your values, but you were taught that that goes against the social code of conduct. So to you, it feels guilty. It's not. It's aligned with your values, which is why when you are in that discomfort, you do need to check what your brain is telling you. If you're being motivated by trust, your inner dialogue includes things like, I know it's best for me, rather than what will they think? If you're worrying about what they are, you're in fear. You'll feel more connected to yourself, even if there's uncertainty. And if you're making choices based on self-respect and what feels right for you, you'll feel a sense of security, maybe not completely secure, but just more, I mean, not to repeat myself, but like grounded and stable that this is what's right for me. So when I was doing this research, I was kind of coming out of this for myself, right? Like I was tired of being disconnected from myself. And I then had that aha moment of, oh my God, I've been being motivated by fear, which I know creates self-fulfilling beliefs. So I actively try not to allow that to motivate me. And I was getting the exact thing I didn't want, which was disconnection, not just with me, but with this other person. So how could I still protect myself? Because like just exposing myself to pain wasn't necessarily like what my brain wanted me to do, just like yours won't. But how do I do that while continuing to foster that deeper connection towards me? And the main thing that I took away from even what I just read to you was if I want to protect myself from pain, like truly be able to do that, I have to be connected to myself, which means I need to be able to sense where I'm at. Am I feeling more aggravated today? Am I feeling calmer today? Like, where am I on my emotional thermometer? I need to have that awareness. I need to be able to recognize my warning signals, which are things that my body does to help protect me. So I'll get super fidgety, I'll get really hot. I have an oral fixation, so my tongue just does fucking weird shit in my mouth all the time. So like if these things are heightened, that's a reflection that something's going on inside my inner world. And when I hear that and I recognize that, then I take space to understand. And that is the protection. But when I'm not focused on that, when I'm focused on the outside, I miss all of it because I'm so busy focusing on the outside. It's a totally different experience. It's like hypervigilance inside is a deeper sense of self-connection, but hypervigilance outside is more disconnection, more pain, just ick. But the main thing that I really liked about what I found in the research was you're standing for something meaningful. So when I notice all my warning signals and I take a break, even if that feels unnatural, which it really does in those conversations a lot of time, I wholeheartedly believe I'm doing so with a purpose to protect the relationship. Because I know if I'm dysregulated, it's definitely not going to make anything I say 100% true. And I don't even want to risk hurting someone like that because I love the people in my life and I find their vulnerability and their faith in me really valuable. So I don't even want to risk that. Now that's me. You guys can manage that, whatever way fancies you. But if you're moving towards something greater, connection, meaning, purpose, etc., that's healthy self-protection. That's self-protection sourced through trust, purpose, love. If you're building walls, if you're being avoidant, if you're rushing, if you're worrying about what others are thinking, that is building disconnection, increasing the likelihood of you getting hurt, creating more pain in the long run, and it's motivated from fear or shame. So I know this was like a bigger idea, but let me tell you why I wanted to talk about it today. Not only is it coming up regularly with me, but also with my clients. But I like to treat things at the source. I don't like giving people like, here, go meditate and you'll be fine for 30 seconds. That feels like a band-aid to me. I'm not saying meditation doesn't work. It has long-term benefits, but if you want to have a conversation about that, just DM me. I'm having a conversation about this because the source of why we do what we do has everything to do with how we understand ourselves and how we're connected to ourselves. If we aren't connected to ourselves, we don't understand what's driving us, what's motivating us, what's prompting our actions. If we don't like that we don't go to the gym, if we don't like that we won't set boundaries, if we don't like that we say yes to everything and then feel overwhelmed and stressed and then overeat or overdrink or oversmoke or blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is that we do to try and avoid our pain, if we aren't looking at why we're doing it, not with judgment, that's important, but with true, genuine curiosity to try and understand, like, okay, what made me think that was the right idea? Because there was a part of you that did, and we need to understand how to work with the parts of us, or we will continue to replicate the same bullshit. We want to escape and not understand why. To understand our internal sense of motivation, we can't be so externally focused on trying to control the external world to prevent pain because we can't. It will come no matter how perfect you are at controlling everything. It's still going to come because you can't control the outside world. But if you shift that to controlling the inside world, to understand and manage yourself, that's actually the solution to being able to protect yourself. It's how you live with purpose versus living in protection. It gives you more connection, more meaning, more aliveness. And it starts with understanding how you're being motivated. So take a moment, think through your life experience right now, what you've been struggling with recently. Why are you doing what you're doing? Who's telling you you need to, you should, or you have to, which are all fear motivation words, by the way. What do you want to do? And why won't you let yourself do it? A lot of us are the adults of our own lives and we are the authority of our own lives, but we don't act like it. If we want to free ourselves, we have to act like it. So thank you as always for tuning in. And I couldn't encourage you more to bet on you. Trust yourself to learn about your inner alarm system so you really can prevent unnecessary pain. And the good news is you can control your inner world. You just got to get to know it first. Until next time. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of The Challenges of Change. If you're ready to stop stressing and reclaim your sense of worth, be sure to visit my website at www.changebychallenge.com. There, you'll find loads of resources, blog posts, and information on how to work with me, Laura, as your personal mindset coach. Remember, if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. Don't let burnout or any other obstacle hold you back from living your best life. Take the first steps towards positive transformation today. Thank you again for listening. Stay confident, stay inspired, and embrace the challenges of change. Until next time.